Good afternoon. Hello. Okay, I feel like that's not straight and may not be the right height, but I will be able to tell you in a minute when I check my iPad. But welcome back to day 3 of the new Mini Catalogue launch week. And today we are fast forwarding to Christmas. Okay, so pretend it's not August. We're going to look at Christmas. I'm just going to check my iPad and see what you can see, which will hopefully all be well. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to have to plug that in. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of charge, and that will never do. Right, let's do that for a start. And turn it on at the plug. I'm very good at putting things on to charge and forgetting to turn them on at the plug. Okay, so it looks like I'm there. There we go. That doesn't look too bad. Oh, I'm just gonna, let's turn that around. That's better. I've got my lights on in here today. I don't know where you're watching from, but it's absolutely tipping with rain outside. It's not like August at all. Or perhaps it is like August. You know what the weather's like in this country. So it's a grey, miserable day, really horrible. I've got the window cracked open because it's very humid, obviously because it's raining, but it's not very warm. I've even had to put my long sleeves on, which is not something I like to do in August, but there you go. So I don't know if anybody else is here yet, not according to my iPad, but then you never know. You can't always tell from this. Sometimes the comments take a little while to come through. So today is going to be all about Christmas. I'm going to show you a few new things from the new Mini Catalogue. I'm going to show you a few Christmas cards I've made. I'm going to make a couple of Christmas cards as well. I haven't done anything about gift packaging yet. But of course, everything I'm going to show you will work beautifully on tags and gift bags and gift boxes and so on as well. So what do I need to remember to remind you about? Well, the first thing I suppose to say is that I will be back here again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow I'm going to be looking at late summer and autumn crafting. So all those kinds of projects I should be here for tomorrow in my usual Friday craft Stamp and Chat slot. There we go. Managed to say it in the end. So yes, we'll be back to kind of seasonal things tomorrow for the right time of year. If you're able to like and share this video, that really helps me. So thank you in advance for hitting those buttons. And just a few reminders about classes. Tomorrow is the last date to book 3 of my classes. The classes aren't happening till September, but I need to get everything ordered and prepared in time. So booking closes tomorrow for September's Welcome Back to Classes class. For the monthly card class, which will be finally an in-person class. For the monthly card class by post, which I'm going to keep going for a little while and see if there's any demand for it. And also for the Fancy Folds class for this month. So an August class, the Fancy Fold Cards class, that will be going out by post because I'm not doing any face-to-face classes till September, but the closing date for that is also tomorrow. So class reminders there. I have emailed out to my classes emailing list. If you're not on that but would like to be reminded about classes that are coming up and when to book, let me know and I can add you to that emailing list. All right, so I can see Maureen's here and Belinda is here. Belinda says it's wet her side of the river too. Yeah, Belinda lives in Leamington as well, but she's the other side of the river from me. They've just been to a vet's checkup, but they're allowing folk in now with pets, so they didn't have to get wet in the car park. Good, and hopefully everything was all right with sweet Tansy. Katie's here. Hi, Katie. Maureen may need to leave early, but we'll catch up later. That's okay, Maureen. I can give you a pass out, not a problem. And yes, the recording will be here for you later, or you can look on YouTube. All right, so I don't think there is Anything else to say about classes? I've done your reminders on that. If there is anything you want to order, I've got an order going in first thing on Saturday, so as long as you get it to me before then, I can just add that for you as well. So without more ado, I'm going to turn the camera down and then you'll be able to see what's on my desk, and we'll do some crafting. So bear with me while I sort that out. I feel like I ought to be able to do this in my sleep now, having done it every day this week, which is unusual. There we go. Let's change all those settings, move my microphone and clip that lead up out of the way. Okay, we've had somebody here doing some work this morning. Those of you who've been to my house will know that I've had a rather fetching wooden pallet for a front doorstep for, I'm ashamed to say how long, a very, very long time. And we finally had somebody in this morning to actually build the step. I hoped my son was going to do it, but he's always got something more important to do. So we've had that done, and he just about got it done before the rain came down really heavily. So we can't use it for a few days, which is going to be a bit of a pain. Going to have to come around and use the back doors. I've got a box out there ready for any post to go into, but it will be very nice to have it done. Righty ho, so that doesn't look too bad. And let me pull in something exciting for you to look at instead of just my grid paper. Right, so first of all, I thought I would show you a card and then show you a few things that I've used on it. They're slightly, I was going to say slightly random. It's not a particular suite, it's just various things. So here is a cheery robin card for you. I'm so happy we've got a robin. He is from the Happy Holidays set, which I mentioned earlier in the week when I was showing you my favourite things. So this lovely little robin is in here, and this stamp set will be part of my all-day Christmas class, which is happening on the 20th of November. So you'll get this stamp set, and it will be used in a lot of the projects. So I'm really looking forward to that day. There'll be 6 projects that day. It's always a really nice day of crafting. So that's the stamp set I used for the robin, and for the For You and the Happy Christmas and the little dots. They're all from this stamp set. I've got one of these new snowflakes on there in the background. So these come in a pack. There's 24 of them, and they're called Wonderful Snowflakes. You can find them on page 25 of the mini catalogue. And they're die cut. Hopefully you can see that. You just push them out of the paper, and there's this lovely iridescent paper. And actually you could die cut smaller snowflakes out of your spare bits there. I mean, we're frugal, aren't we, we crafters? We never throw anything away. So I popped one of those in the back. If I lift it up, I've used the timber embossing folder here on the tag. I'm hoping you can see that. Sorry to move it around. It takes so long for my iPad to catch up before I can see what you see, and I'm trying to see on my phone and I can't. So there we go. So the timber embossing folder I've used here. The sprig of holly is also from the Happy Holidays set. And the branch is from the Harvest dies. They're on page 56 of the catalogue. I'll be looking at those again tomorrow. And then finally this lovely ruffled ribbon. Let me show you in real red. This is absolutely beautiful. I love ruffled ribbon. We've had it a few times in the past in different iterations, and this one is really, really nice. So this is real red ruffled ribbon, beautiful, tied round a box. It also, as you can see, ties into a bow really nicely. I particularly like it against this crumb cake colour or against craft card. But it's lovely whatever you do with it. For my holly berries, I used these wonderful gems, which you'll find on page 62. We had these last year and they were really popular, so they've brought them back again. and they come in a pack. You've got 2 different sizes, large and small, and some are red and some are gold. And if I lift them up and tilt them, hopefully you can see not only are they faceted, so that makes them sparkly, but they've also got glitter in them, and hopefully that's not too close to focus. The quantity of glitter in each one is variable, so it really is as if they sprinkle the glitter over when the resin is wet, and because it's being sprinkled you get different amounts in each gem, so I do really like that about them. So I used those for my holly berry, so there's a little bit of sparkle in my berries as well. I coloured the robin using watercolour pencils and then just blended that out with a water painter. Okay, so that's one where I've pulled together lots and lots of bits and pieces from the catalogue, and also gave me an opportunity to show you a few things. So the next thing I'm going to focus on is my favourite suite in the catalogue, which is this one, the Peaceful Place suite. I can't get the whole thing underneath my camera, but let's start here with some of the samples. So these look absolutely beautiful, and then we can move across here to where you can actually see some of the items. So I have to admit I did buy the whole suite because I absolutely loved it. So this is the timber embossing folder, and let me find it. I've got a piece of embossed card here just to show you a larger piece. I used it on the tag. It's a 6-inch square embossing folder, so it will actually emboss a really large piece, but you've got this gorgeous wood grain look. This is perfect for all your masculine projects, lovely for anything with flowers or butterflies or bees, and of course works really nicely with this suite too. These little sprinkles here, they're called Subtle Shimmer Sequins, and there are 2 sizes, 3mm and 4mm, and I'm just going to put a few onto a dark surface so you can hopefully get more of an idea of what they're like. So there are some shiny silver ones in there, but there are also some matte silver ones, and there are some pearly white ones too. They're very, very pretty. So you've got some shine, but not too much. So these would be absolutely stunning in any kind of shaker card or snow globe. You could also sprinkle them thickly for snowdrifts. You can use them individually with a pair of tweezers and a little bit of patience for things like mistletoe berries or stylized holly berries. And they'll work really with anything where you're going to be using silver, so they're very, very pretty. Bear with me while I just put them back in here. If I leave them on my mat till afterwards, we all know that they're just going to end up on the floor. So Belinda says she's keeping her spare bits of snowflake paper too. She thinks it'll be good for die cutting little stars. Yes, that will be lovely. And I'm glad that Tansy got on okay at the vet, Belinda. That's what we like to hear. Oh, hang on, we've got an escaped one there already. Okay, so I haven't used those on anything yet, but I know I will be. Let me bring in some other things from the suite. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to show you this Peaceful Place paper here because this is absolutely gorgeous. It's specialty paper, which means that there is something extra added to it beyond just the design, and in this case it's silver foil. So each piece has got silver foil on one side and then a different design on the other side that is plain. There are 6 different double-sided designs. So this one, again, I've been showing you paper like this for a while now. Stampin' Up have done this quite a lot, and I think it's a really good idea, where you have a mirror image. So you can cut this down the middle if you wish, and you've instantly got either 4 or 6 card fronts, or you could cut it down much narrower here. So the slim cards are very popular at the moment. That would make beautiful slim cards. And you've got this lovely foil detail for the evergreens and also snowflakes in the background. I'm hoping that that's showing up. I have got my light on, so I know it's both helping and also reflecting, but it's very pretty paper. And on the back of this is a pattern, really. It's a little bit like white stitches on a grey background. Very usable if you just want something subtle rather than just plain card. So that's that sheet. Then there's this one, which is really beautiful. I used a piece of this in a card I showed you yesterday. Let me just pull that one out. There we go. So I showed you this card yesterday, and my background paper here is a top section of this sheet. But of course down at the bottom you've got these lovely conifers with the silver foiled snowflakes over the top of them. This would be gorgeous used as a whole piece for scrapbooking, but certainly cut down as well for cards or for gift bags. It's beautiful. And on the background, on the back, the reverse, you've also got another subtle pattern in greys. So this is usable for anything, doesn't have to be Christmas at all. The next one is snowflakes. So you have white snowflakes, but also foiled snowflakes, silver foil snowflakes. And then on the other side, I think the Americans call this buffalo check. Sort of large scale gingham pattern, again in grey and white, and again suitable for all sorts of projects. Absolutely doesn't have to just be Christmas. So I like that about this pack. It's Christmassy, but it doesn't have to be Christmassy. This one has got that tree bark pattern, so that matches the timber embossing folder I just showed you on one side, and you've got the silver foiling again. On the other side you've got Christmas trees or evergreens in a snowy landscape, so they're really pretty too. This one you have a pattern, this reminds me of sort of ice on a stream. So there's the grey pattern in the background, light grey on dark grey, and then you've got foiling for the pattern as well on top. So I've got it this way round. It also works this way round. It looks a little bit more like frost on tree bark this way round. And then the reverse is little log cabins of various sorts in a snowy landscape, complete with a little fox who's very sweet. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see I've just pulled out for the 5th sheet one that I've already shown you. Let me just find the sheet that I haven't shown you yet, which is, that's better, this one. So this has actually been constructed to give you 4 6-inch square pieces all in one. So you can probably see there's a faint line down there and a faint line across there. So this cuts really conveniently into 4 6x6 pieces, or of course you could cut it much smaller. I mean, you could use these little trees here separately. You could cut this section off here for a tall slim card. And I don't know if you can see, there are just some snowy mountains just hinted at in the background, so it's very beautiful. You have the silver foiling again on the trees, and then on the reverse of this you've just got an all over pattern of little sketchy conifers. And all the imagery on these papers is repeated in the coordinating stamp set, which I will also show you here. So let me show you that. And I'll also pull out the dies as well. So the Peaceful Cabin stamp set is here. So here's that little fox we've been looking at. This is the same pattern of Snowflakes that was in the paper. The cabin is in the papers. These tree images, it's the same ones in the paper, so they coordinate really beautifully. It's a red rubber stamp set. And then you've also got the set of dies. There's 16, I think it is, dies, 13 dies, okay. 13 dies in the set. I'll show you these cut out because it's much easier to see, but you've got dies here which will cut out stamped images, and you also have dies that work independently of the stamped images. So it's a really versatile set, and I've only just scratched the surface at the moment of using that. There are so many things you can do with it. So let me show you the stamped images actually stamped out, because somehow that seems to be clearer, I think. So the detail on these is stunning. They are once again the distinctive stamps. So the image stamps pick up ink in different opacities. If I lift this up and show you the cabin, for instance, it picks up a lot of ink for the shadowy sections and just a tiny little bit of ink for some of these shadows on the snow. In fact, when you ink up the stamp, some of these areas look like it hasn't picked up any ink at all, but then you stamp it and you get all this detail. If you can even see just here the detail of the joints where the logs for the front and the side join together. There's so much detail on that. They're beautiful. So you've also got this one here, which could be an icy puddle or it could be a shadow. You have a group of trees. This is actually one stamp here with 3 trees on it, but they're spaced out like this, which is much more interesting than if they were just in a row. And then a selection of words. Some are perfect for Christmas, but some are useful all year round. So wishing you the best, for you, and thank you. Your kindness makes the world a more beautiful place to be. All of those you can use the whole year round. And then may you enjoy the peace of this beautiful season. So that's the stamp set. And then the dies, as I say, some of them will cut out the images, which is what I've got on this sheet here. Let me just pull that down. Hopefully it's not off the top. So when you stamp the trees and cut them out, it cuts you out the outline of the trees, but it also cuts this kind of curved landscape here. So you could just take your scissors and just cut around the bottoms, which is what I did actually on a card I'm going to show you in a minute. Or you can leave them like this, and then you can layer these other pieces in front to give you a landscape with a lot of depth. So here's the little cabin. And again, it cuts it out with a landscape. And here's the little fox, which again, it will cut round the edge of the fox, but it also cuts out this landscape. There's also a die to cut out this fence and to cut out the fox separately. So you can have the fox on a slope, or you can have the fox on his own. And then other dies cut out non-stamped images. So for this one, I've used the die that cuts around the edge here, although I used it on card that I hadn't stamped, and then there are separate dies that cut out the detail on those trees. So you could cut these out in silver card or white card with the detail, and you could cut them again with just the outlines on, say, dark green card and layer the white one over the top, so you'd have your dark green showing where the snow hasn't quite covered them over, but most of it would be white or would be silver foil, for instance. That's just one idea. There's also one which, after you've cut out the outline of the cabin, cuts out all the detail like this. So I could, for instance, ink up a background with a sunset, and then I could layer this over the top, so I'd have sunset in the background and sunset peeking through my detail here. Or of course I could layer a different colour behind this, and then this one with all the detail cut in it I could put on top. And then finally there are just some extra dies here. So there are 3 sizes of trees, and these are exactly the same shape as on some of the paper. So you could use your paper, and then you could add on some die cut trees maybe in a dark green to contrast, or a silver to contrast with the paper. There's a little fence here, so delicate, which is different to the stamped fence. Let me find that one, which is here. And then you can cut these little snowflakes out of your card layer, but you can also use the bits you cut out and stick those down. So they are a really, really versatile set of stamps and dies. I absolutely love this, really, really love it. If you get the bundle of stamps and dies, then that will also get you a free Celebration item. My suggestion would be the bedazzling paper, because that's going to be brilliant to use with these, but obviously you can get whichever free item you fancy. So I think the one thing I haven't shown you yet from this suite is the white velvet paper, velvet sheets they're calling them here. I'll show them to you, but it doesn't make for very good television because they just look white and you can't feel them. But I have got a project where I've used them, which might give you a little bit more of a feel. So I'll tilt this a little bit. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to see what that looks like. This is stamped on standard white card here. So if I put that next to it, I don't know whether the texture is showing or not. It does, it's got a lovely feel to it. It's flocked, basically. It feels velvety. But let me show you something that I actually did with it, because that will make a little bit more sense. So here's a card I made where I've used the stamps and the dies. And this front section is the velvet paper, so you can stamp on it as well, you can die cut it. And I wasn't sure which would be the best ink to use on it, but I'm happy to report that you can use both StazOn and ordinary water-based ink. So my cabin I stamped in StazOn ink, and the fences and the fox I stamped in Memento Tuxedo Black ink. They both dried really quickly, and if I just lift that up so you can see a little bit of the detail, it stamps beautifully. So I then die cut this. I stamped and die cut the trees at the back, and I did actually separate them out. Let me find here. So I did just snip them out with my scissors. So I actually had a group of two and a single tree, and I just slid them behind the velvet paper. And that's all stuck onto a layer of Night of Navy card, and I used that little die that cuts the snowflakes. I used it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and layered some of the Celebration bedazzling paper behind. I'm just looking for that, there we are. So I've layered some of that behind just to show through. So that's how I made that card. And it feels lovely. That velvet paper just feels so nice. Let me make something else. Move these out of the way. Bear with me, I'm just going to move the paper as well so that I don't knock it onto the floor and dent it. And I'm just going to move this velvet paper as well. I just dropped my stamp cleaner, that's what that crash was. Let's pick that up, there we are. Right, where was I? So I'm going to make a version of this card that's just a little bit different to this one, just so I can show you 2 alternatives. So the paper that I just showed you, I've used on the front. Let me pull out the sheet. It's the one that's divided into 4. Here we are. So if I lay this down and lay that next to it, you can see that I've used a 1/4 sheet on my card here. I had a 6-inch square envelope, so I actually, although this piece measures 6 inches square, I've actually cut it down slightly so that my card measures 5 and just a bit under, about 5 7/8, just so that it will fit in my 6-inch square envelope comfortably. And all I've done is cut a card base out of thick white card, attached my designer series paper on top. I've heat embossed the Noel from the Happy Holidays set here in silver, and then I've tied round some of this gorgeous glittery ribbon. So this is the glittered organdy ribbon. I don't know if that shows up just laid down like that. Let me put it on top of something dark and show you. I tilt it, I'm hoping the light will catch the sparkle in it. It's so pretty. We have this in black in the annual catalogue as well, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I thought that was suitably sparkly for this card. So I'm going to make a similar one, but I'm going to do the words slightly differently. So this time I've die cut the words from the Celebration free Bedazzling glitter card, which is a bit of a mouthful. There we go. So I've die cut Noel. I used the playful alphabet, which is in the annual catalogue, just to die cut the words. So first of all, I need to stick my paper onto my card base. And these would be really easy cards to mass produce. Christmas is about the only time when I actually make more than one card the same. I mean, even then I might change it up a little bit with different ribbon or a different sentiment, but the rest of the year my cards tend to be one-offs, but at Christmas I make so many cards to send that it's much better use of my time to do some duplicates. And this would be a really quick and easy card for that. So I'm going to pop my words down here. Would also be nice stamped in either cherry cobbler or real red to give a real contrast, or come to that green. Shaded spruce or garden green would be really nice on here as well. So where's my glue gone? So I'm going to start with the last letter because I know how far in from the edge I'm going to want that. And then I'm going to work my way to the left. And I just cut these straight from the Bedazzling paper, but I could have put them onto the foam adhesive sheet, which you may have seen me use before with this alphabet. So this is like Dimensionals adhesive, but it's just in a whole sheet instead of pre-cut. So you just cut a piece of whatever paper you're wanting your letters to be cut from. I cut a strip the right size for the letters, stick it to a piece of this foam sheet, cut to size. So then I would have, where's my Bedazzling paper? I can explain it a little bit better if I grab a strip of this. Here we go. So here's the one that I cut my Noel letters from. So I would have just cut a piece of the strip to fit that, cut along there, and then die cut this with the foam adhesive on the back. And then I would have had letters that already had foam adhesive on the back, I would just peel off the backing and then I would be able to stick them on and they would be dimensional. I decided not to go this route for this one, but if I make another one of these I might just do that for a little bit of a change. Obviously I only send one card to each person, so the people I send my cards to have no idea whether it's the only one that's like that or whether I've made 50 all the same. But somehow for me, I sometimes like to do something a little bit different to them so I'm not completely repeating myself every time. Just trying to decide which way around to put my O. That way, I think. So the Playful Alphabet, if you haven't found it, is in the annual catalogue, and it's a really nice size for using on cards or tags, or in scrapbooking and memory keeping. It's not too big and it's not too small. I think I've got that straight. Quite often I rule a line just to make sure that I stick things on straight. That one doesn't want to stay put. There we are. Now I've got glue all over my fingers, so let me just wipe that off with a baby wipe. So that's my letters on there. So now I've got some of this lovely organdy ribbon. I can just tie that in a bow on the front. I'm making this look much harder than it is. You can't see, but I've actually got one arm wrapped around my phone stand, because to get things in the right place for you to see what I'm doing, I have to have it in a slightly awkward place, which means that I often have to wrap my left arm around it and then round to the front. So if you see me making something look really quite awkward when you think it can't be that difficult, you're probably right, but that's the reason why. Now my ribbon doesn't want to sit straight, but that's okay because I will wrestle it into submission using a glue dot in just a moment. There we go, so that's trimmed my ends. And then sometimes if a bow just will not sit straight, I just pick up a mini glue dot just on the point of my scissors, pop it on my card, and then press the ribbon into place. That's much better. That's sitting much more how I want it now. And then finally I'm just going to stamp a sentiment inside. So I've got my Memento ink and I have the Happy Christmas from this same Happy Holidays set. I could do this on an insert, but I'm just going to take a deep breath and go straight for it on my card. There we are. So that is a very, very quick card using this beautiful paper. And there are several patterns of card within that pack that you can use just to make very quick and beautiful cards like this. I could have cut this down if I only wanted to make a C6 card. I could have cut it shorter like that, but it's quite nice sometimes to do a slightly larger square card instead of a smaller card. So that's something using that beautiful, beautiful paper. And I've shown you everything in that suite. So now I'm going to move on and do something using, let me find it, the Painted Christmas suite. So if you've got your catalogue, this is on page 16. And I'm going to use this paper here. Now, if you were with me when I was showing you my favourite things in the catalogue, on which day was that? Tuesday. Seems like a long time ago now. I did a quick show of that paper. So it is really lovely. It's all watercolour patterns. You can see that I've started using mine. So it's greenery and berries. Some of it is great for Christmas. Some of it you could use all year round, like these leaves, for instance. That's definitely an all year pattern, as is this lovely herringbone brick. There we are. So that's all the patterns. And I think it works really, really well with all kinds of different Christmas sets. Now, I haven't got these, at least not yet. Never say never. Because I've got other Christmas sets which I thought would work with it. And I think it was Belinda who said on Tuesday that she could see it would work with the Poinsettia set. And it was definitely great minds think alike, because I had prepared these cards using exactly that set. So this is in the annual catalogue. This is carried over from last year. There is a set of dies that works with it as well. I don't actually have the dies, although I think I'm going to have to get them. Oh yeah, I'm looking for that missing stamp, but I've got it on a block here right in front of me. So these are photopolymer stamps. You get a lot of stamps for your money. There's 18 stamps in that set. So you've got a kind of a build your own poinsettia, a ready-made one. You've got holly leaves and berries and pine branches and lots of useful words. So it's a really nice set. So that's not a new one, but I've added it to some of the new things that I do have. So this is the first card that I made, and I'm going to make a version of this that's just a little bit different now. So I've used some of that lovely painted Christmas paper. I've picked up two of the colours from the paper, garden green and real red, for my layer and my card base. I've stamped my poinsettia layers on real red card using real red ink, and I actually cut these with my scissors. They're really quite straightforward to cut out. I've layered them up together with a couple of stamped holly leaves from that same stamp set here, which I've stamped in garden green ink on garden green card. I've added some of the gold wonderful gems in the middle. I showed you those earlier. They're the ones with the glitter in them. And I've just popped in a few little loops of this new ribbon. There we go, which is this real red sheer ribbon. It's got like a satin border and then it's sheer in the middle. It's beautiful. And so I just got some glue dots. I put a glue dot there, folded my ribbon over to make a loop, and that held. I put another glue dot there, folded my ribbon down, a glue dot there, and folded my ribbon back. So that made like a double loop, which is what I've got here. And then I made just a single loop, held in place with a glue dot to pop up here. So no fancy bows or anything, and the glue dots do all the heavy lifting for you. They just hold everything in place nicely. Then this stamp is from the Poinsettia Petals set down here. So that's one card. So I thought, well, I'll do something similar for you, but I'll just change things up a little bit just to give you something different. So let me pull the bits out. I thought you might not want to watch me cut out poinsettia flowers, so I've done that. I've cut out some holly leaves, but I might use the gold holly leaves. I'm going to put them on there and see in just a minute. Those are in this same suite. So here is the paper, here are the gold holly leaves. I could have used this lovely gold and cherry cobbler ribbon, which they've got here, but I decided I was going with real red rather than cherry cobbler, so I'm going to use the gold ribbon instead. And you can find the gold ribbon on page 45 in here. So let me move that catalogue out of the way. So this is the one I'm using. I love this gold ribbon. I'm going to get through reels of that, I know. Alright, so I'll set aside my card base. So I've cut some of the paper, a different pattern to the first card. And the first thing I'm going to do is tie the ribbon round it. It's a little bit tricky because I'm only tying it round the paper, not a paper and card layer. But hopefully it will cooperate. I'm just trying not to pull it too tight and buckle the paper, but if it's impossible I will glue it to the card first. But I did really just want the ribbon around the paper, not the card as well. And again, if I'm making this look much harder than it is, it's because I'm working around my phone stand. There we are. Not too bad. There we are. So I might have to tweak that with a glue dot in a minute. I think I probably will, but I'm going to leave that just as it is and glue it to my card layer, which will just help hold things firmly, and then I can fiddle around with where the bow is. So I think I want it about there. I want to add some words here, then have the bow, and then have my flower. So that looks in about the right place to me. I've left enough space for the words to go to the right of the bow. Just straighten that on there. There we are, and I cut this just so I've got a very narrow border. So Belinda's saying yes, she was thinking about poinsettias as well. She's wondering about die cutting white ones out of the white flocked paper. Last year we had some poinsettia paper with flocked white ones on. She's not sure if she's got any left. We did, Belinda, and it was lovely, and I think that would work really well on the white velvet paper. I think that would be great. Please do that, and then you can show us all. Okay, so I am just going to pop a glue dot behind here. I do want my bow sideways like that rather than parallel. And I think everything else, the rest of the ribbon, is going to be held in place by the other bits I'm going to put on here. So I'm just going to neaten these ends. There we are. And pop this on the card base. Then I can start to build up the rest of the decoration. There we are. I'm just going to have some of my tea. I've got a cup of tea here, which is probably halfway to getting cold. I can feel my throat getting dry. That's better. Okay, I'll set that aside for a minute. That's my insert. And I'm just going to make up my poinsettia flower. So for this one, I cut 2 of the largest and 1 of the medium flowers from the stamp set. For this one, because I knew I was adding the bow and I was not going to have quite as much space, I've got a medium and 2 small. And the first thing I like to do is to shape the petals, being careful that I don't rip them off. So I curve them up and then I'm going to curve the tips the other way, which just gives the whole flower a little bit of movement. So I'm just curling them just as if I was curling ribbon, just pinching the pieces between my thumb and the bone folder and pulling my bone folder out, and that just stretches the paper fibres and makes it curl. Like that. There we are. So now I'm going to glue these together. I could use glue dots, but I'm going to use my trusty multi-purpose glue. So I'm just going to offset those. There we are. So that makes a really nice full flower. So I'm going to put that on here. Oh, and I just need to leave that a minute. Let's see, I haven't given that enough of a chance for that glue to grab. And I can see that I do, after all, just need to anchor that ribbon down because that's very springy. So I'm just going to tuck a glue dot underneath there, and perhaps while I'm at it I'll stick one the other side as well, just to hold everything where I want it. There we are. So while I'm waiting for that poinsettia to really set, the glue on that, I'm going to stamp my Merry Christmas. So what colour do I want this? I think I'm going to go with red this time. So this is real red. I need my stamping mat because I'm using photopolymer stamps. And I'll just stamp that centrally. So my piece of card here is 3/4 of an inch wide. And then I'm just going to trim the length on this. So that's going to go there like that. And I'm going to put another glue dot there, because this ribbon has got, because of the metallic in it, it is just slightly springy, and that's just going to hold it flat so that I can easily position this over the top. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. I could stick it flat, but I think it's going to be nice to have it popped up just a little bit to balance out that bow. Ooh, putting it up the right way would be better, wouldn't it? There we are. So that's my sentiment on the front, and then this feels much better. I'm going to pop that this side. Now what I can't decide is whether to use my green holly leaves or no leaves or some gold holly leaves. So how about you give me a little bit of help this time? So I could tuck the green holly leaves in there. They're quite nice. Or I could tuck in, the gold ones are a lot smaller. I don't know, they might be too small. Or I could have none, so tell me what you think. I'm not going to stick the poinsettia down for a minute. until I've got a decision from you. So what do you think? None, green or gold? I'll drink some tea and give you a chance to reply. Belinda's saying green leaves or no leaves. Okay, let's see what somebody else thinks. I like the gold ones. I think they're probably just a little bit small for this. Lorraine's saying none as well. Right, well that's 2 votes for none. So let's go with none. Okay, I can do that. And I'm going to pop some dimensionals on the back of this as well. There we are. I'm going to put the lid on those holly leaves before I throw them all over the floor. And then I have some of the Gilded Gems here from the annual catalogue, just to pop something in the middle. So I could put a large one or 3 medium ones or 3 small ones. Gosh, it's going to be another decision. Let's have a look and see. Let me just pick up a large one. So that's a large one. Or if I use the medium ones, I can pop 3 of those in the middle, or I can pop 3 of the little ones together in the middle. They would be much closer together than that. What do we think? Large, medium or small? Yeah, I'm making you work this afternoon, aren't I? Holding my breath here, waiting for you to decide. I'm going to stamp the insert while I wait. Put my stamping mat underneath. I'm going to stamp a poinsettia, just a single one, just on the edge. Lorraine's saying 3 small ones. Thank you, Lorraine. Belinda's saying large. All the other red gems with the gold. Oh, can I find those? What have I done with those? I could lay one of those on just so you can see, couldn't I? There we go. So these are the wonderful gems. So if I lay those on, oops. For me, I think I like a little bit more contrast than that, although that was a good thought. And I used the gold ones on this, so it'd be quite nice to use something different. So, oh, and Maureen's saying small ones as well. Right, okay. So let's go with that then. There we are. Thank you, ladies, for all your suggestions. Yeah, they look really nice, don't they? So I'm going to bring back my insert, and I just need to stamp the words. And I'm actually going to... Belinda says yes, needs more contrast. Excellent. I'm glad we haven't upset you, Belinda. Okay, now I had red ink on my Merry Christmas for the front. I've just cleaned it so I can put green on it for the inside, as I've used red already on the insert. There we are. Yeah, I really like the gold on there. That was a great choice. Yeah, Lorraine thinks that looks good. Excellent. There we go. Now, I never normally do Christmas crafting in August, but I have now got about half a dozen Christmas cards made, so I'm feeling quite ahead of myself. So there we are. Thank you for your help with that, for making decisions. Let me bring in the other one I made. So this is the kind of thing that I quite often do. I've got one basic design and then I just tweak it a little bit. So I've actually got two different cards and I enjoyed making them both, but I only had to do a small amount of extra design work to make two rather than one. Thank you, Maureen. I'm glad you like that. So yeah, so this is the painted Christmas paper. This is really beautiful from the new catalogue. The ribbon is in the new catalogue. These little gold sparkly gems, the wonderful gems, they're in the new catalogue. The poinsettia set, which is also where the words came from, is in the annual catalogue. So we've got kind of mixing the two there. And that is the end of my Christmassy projects for you today. Now, I could have gone on and on and on and on. I sometimes think I could sit here till 10 o'clock at night chatting away to you and crafting, but I can't do that. So let me bring back what I've shown you. So way back at the beginning, can't get them all on, so I'll have to show you in a few little doses. I showed you the robin card, and then I showed you my absolute favourite Christmas suite in the catalogue, which is the Peaceful Place suite on page 36, which is where this is from, with the exception of that sparkly paper, which is of course a Celebration choice. And then I showed you the lovely Peaceful Place paper, and I made two versions of the same card very quickly and easily, because really all you've got to do is cut the piece of paper in four and you've got 4 card fronts straight off. And then finally, the ones I made with your help and advice, using the painted Christmas paper, some of the new ribbon, and an old favourite stamp set. And Belinda says, yes, it works so well with that paper. Yes, I really like it, Belinda, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with it as well, and particularly if you decide to make some white velvet paper poinsettias. So let me move the camera up so I can say a proper goodbye to you. Redo all my settings. Going upside down once in a week is enough, I think, so let me make sure that I change all of those. And alter the microphone. There we are. Hopefully that's straight. My iPad takes about 30 seconds or even a little bit more to catch up, but at least we didn't get any thunder and lose the connection. I was a little bit worried about that earlier. So thank you very much indeed for joining me this afternoon. It's been lovely crafting with you again, even if it feels a little bit strange to me to be doing Christmassy things in August. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock for my regular Friday slot, looking at crafting for late summer and autumn, and I'll be using lots of the new things in the new mini catalogue. So I'm looking forward to seeing you for that. Again, if you can like and share this, that really helps me get seen by other people who might enjoy it. And just remember that tomorrow is the last day to book for the August Fancy Folds class, the September card class, and the September Welcome Back class. So I'm looking forward very much indeed to seeing some of you actually in person in September. That will be so great. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you again tomorrow, I hope. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.